Hello and welcome back to the video. In this video we're going to have a quick look at how to use Adobe Lightroom, particularly with focus upon R098 iMedia and how to suitably adjust your photos for the client's requirements. Okay, so in this scenario, let's come over to Adobe Lightroom, and at the moment our photos are on an external SD card. So we need to get them off there and import them to our chosen location. So we're going to come to File, Import Photos and Videos. And then now on the left hand side we can see my photos here. Select the ones which you want. Under file handling, ensure that you've got builder previews as standard. Okay, and we can actually rename them upon import. Okay, so we'll change it from the default name to something slightly more suitable, in this case calling them test photos. And then lastly, we can also choose to import them to a new or specific folder. Okay, so I've got them here in my multimedia folder, but I've added a subfolder called Lightroom Demo. Okay, pick the photos that you want and press import. Not done. Okay, so we can tick that one off there. Next, we need to check sharpness, and whilst we're doing that, we're going to use different selection tools to pick the images that we want. Okay. Let's hide that menu bar there. And at the top here, we can see them importing. And let's double click to open this one here first. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but the selection process is a part of the assess task for this unit. Okay. If we right click on an image down in the bar here, there's a few ways we can do it. We can do it by flag rating. We can do it by star rating. Or we can even do it by colour. Whatever works best for you is your choice, okay? There's no right or wrong. Personally, I prefer to use flags, so I'm going to use P to pick, U to unflag, or X to reject it, okay? So let's have a really quick look through here. I like this one here. I'm not sure about this one here. So what we can do, okay, I think, is this blurry or is it sharp? Up here in the left-hand side, click zoom photo to 100%, and now we can have a look around and we can confirm just whilst it renders. Actually, yes, this bit here is sharp enough. Okay, so let's pick this one as well. Perhaps they might be underexposed like this. I'm going to press X to reject. This one's okay, so I might pick it. X to reject because it's blurry. Again, very underexposed, so I'm going to reject these. This is okay, but the composition is off. And of the final two, I'm going to pick this one here. Okay. Next part, let's tick that off. Okay, so we check sharpness and use selection tools. You may need to crop images to either suit the composition and also to change the straightness. Okay. So what we can do, if we select our filters here, change it to flagged. Okay, so we're now only looking at the flagged photos. In the top bar, just come over to the develop module. Here we go. One keyboard shortcut which is helpful is the I button. Okay, if we cycle through it, it'll either be off, show us the time and date, or the exposure settings of when the photo was taken. Okay. Now starting with this one, the photo's okay. I'm not quite sure if this is square or not. So if we come over to the crop overlay up here, we can press that, and there's two ways to adjust straightness. We can either do it manually like this, or if we click on this button here, we can actually draw the angle on. So I'm going to follow the line where the sky meets the sea, and press enter to confirm. Actually, I want to change my aspect ratio as well. Make sure you've got your padlock select, and let's go for something like a bit like this. Make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to go for a rule of thirds. Okay, and enter to confirm. As a starting point, when you come to edit your photos, you want to begin with the white balance. Okay, white balance and color temperature are synonymous. Okay, Now in this case here, the photo was actually taken really, really late at night. Okay, so I want a nice, really cool, like summer sunset kind of vibe. Let's go for something like, just a bit like this. The key thing when editing your exposure is that small, subtle changes are the best. Okay, it's really easy to go way over the top. Okay, but photos will really, really quickly become sort of unnatural. But also, there's no mandate in the mark scheme for editing your photos. It's just a case of showing appropriate skill and effectiveness, okay? And obviously, if anything's over the top, it won't be effective. Now, it is absolutely fine to press the auto button, but Lightroom doesn't always understand the context of the photo, so it thinks this is the daytime. So I'm going to just bring that back down to about here, so we can see some of the stars. Let's bring that down there, okay? Let's have a look at the next one. That's all right. This photo here, again, I'm not so keen on now, so I'm just going to unflag it with the U button. And this last one here, let's press auto on my exposure. I want to bring the shadows up a little bit because we've got a lot of darkness here. Remember, exposure changes exposure for the whole photo, whereas shadows will only do sort of the targeted area just below the solid blacks. Okay. I'm going to make it ever so slightly warmer and bring the pinks up a tiny bit. There we go. All right. So we've cropped our images, changed the aspect ratio, adjusted our white balance, and also looked at the exposure settings. Okay. You can, if you wish to, have a look further down here. For example, you can target specific colors if you want to, or you can add some noise reduction if you've got a lot of grain in the background of your image. But in this case, I'm quite content with these. Okay. The last thing left to do is to actually export them. So I'm going to go press G to go back to grid view. Control A to select all. And now I'm going to come up to File, Export. And here we can really refine some of the areas which the mark scheme asks us to do. Okay. Firstly, I'm going to put them in a subfolder called Edited Photos, and I can rename them to Final Portfolio. Okay, so it'll rename the files for me. Next, we can choose a suitable file format, for example, if it's for print or for web use. And for something for JPEGs, leave the quality around 80. Okay, I'll just re-bloat the file size. Finally, depending on the intended usage, we can adjust the actual dimensions and the resolution as well. Okay, now let's imagine that it's for print, so let's change it to 300 here, and we want to keep it to the original size. And last thing, we press Export, and you'll see in the top left here your ticker bar whilst it exports. Once that's done, come over to your chosen folder. Okay, here we can see where Lightroom's made that folder for us automatically. And we can see it's nearly finished. And the last thing we can do is open our final photos just to definitely confirm that is what we expected. And yes, that's fine. Okay, and again, right click, Properties, click on Details, and we can just reconfirm that it has the desired dimensions and resolution.